Things come and go, but sometimes things go and then come back. It's the underdog story. It's the McRib and it's Britney, bitch. It's a key element in the greatest stories told. This is the comeback. About 10 years ago, my goal was simply to be a YouTuber, and I had this idea to playfully review breakfast cereals. I made a couple of videos and my friends, family, and coworkers loved them, and I loved making them. Then life happened, a full-blown career, and an existential crisis or two. The deep need for creative expression and connection has remained throughout everything, and now I'm back to revisit that idea. Now, there were a few cereal candidates to represent the comeback like S'mores and Waffle Crisps. They are pretty recognizable, but they didn't come back with the same punch as my boy here, OREO O's. So we're going to check out this cereal, we're going to look at the box, do a taste test of course, and discuss the topic of comebacks. Sounds fun, right? Now, let's take a little look at the background on Milk's favorite cookie, the Oreo. My teeth might be a little bit black, but let's go. The Oreo cookie was released in 1912 by National Biscuit Company, Nabisco. It is more and more well known to be a blatant copy of Sunshine Biscuit's Hydrox cookie, which was created 4 years earlier. Nabisco was clearly much better at marketing and naming their version of the chocolate and cream cookie. Oreo would quickly become a household name and the best-selling cookie in the world. Cookies and cream was an entirely new and distinct flavor that would be incorporated into many products. In 1997, Post developed a cookies and cream cereal, but needed the magic of the Oreo name. Post and Nabisco were related through parent company Kraft, and they came to an agreement to jointly produce and market OREO O's cereal. OREO O's cereal was born. Congrats! The branding was so strong that people immediately knew the quality and idea of the product, and definitely wanted to try Oreo in its cereal form. It was heavily advertised and pictured in media throughout the 90s and 2000s, and my experience was that OREO O's were just freaking cool. Like having a Lunchables and a Gushers, and then you also have Tech Decks, and you also have all the Mighty Beans you ever wanted. It was that cool. A comparable cereal in coolness would be Reese's Puff. That's the only other cereal I can think of that's like, whoa, cool. It was a hit. OREO O's was everywhere, it was popular, it sold a lot, everyone wanted it, it was on the fridge in Friends, it was cool. In 2007, dreams were shattered when OREO O's were taken off the shelf. The cereal was still popular, but Post had been sold off by Kraft, severing the alliance that allowed the cereal's existence. People were initially upset, of course, and then after a few years, the nostalgia factor came into play. But there's a cream filling at the end of this tunnel. In 2012, Kraft Foods had a corporate restructure and broke down into Kraft Foods Group and Mondelez International. Meanwhile, Post acquired budget cereal brand Malto-Meal and began to produce a familiar cookies and cream cereal. They were just testing out the waters a little bit. After solid sales and encouragement from consumers and Walmart itself, Post needed the magic of the Oreo name. So they made a new deal with Mondelez to relaunch OREO O's. Now, there was a 3-month exclusive with Walmart and a full release afterwards. So OREO O's came back, yes! Oreos! Yang! For one thing, people were excited about seeing the cereal again, and a wave of online articles and tweets reflected and added to that excitement. I found a 2018 article mentioning OREO O's as a very popular and most searched cereal on Google. So the return was successful. I remember the comeback myself, and in my research it was definitely the most notable cereal comeback. There was a slight change in the recipe, as modern cereals tend to leave out milk derivatives and whey that were in the original recipe. Many say the chocolate flavor of the original was much better, but I have no doubt nostalgia can play a role in remembering the quality of items past. Okay, let's check out the box. So front and center, we got the moneymaker, we got Oreo big on the front. It's O's cereal, OREO O's cereal. And a waterfall of milk into an exploding bowl, oopy goopy, exploding milk. These O's look like little bitty donuts, they look delicious. We have boring nutrition facts on one side, super fun facts on the other side. Just about Oreo cookies. They're pretty interesting though. I didn't know any of these, even after researching. And the back it could be better. It's just a big ad for Oreo O's. I already bought the box. My opinion is you should have a game or some fun facts or some cool art. It's just a very detailed Oreo O and just the name really big again. This might as well be the front again. Now let's get these in a bowl and taste them. Got my weapons. Ugh. Let's look at these O's. Okay. On first impression, they look tasty. They smell a little different than you think they would smell. They smell more like science and chemistry than they do like opening the pack of Oreos, which I have. We should do that. Stand by. Nah. Chemicals, chocolatey goodness. Anyway, they look cute, they look tasty. They're not detailed at all as like the box is detailed. This thing looks like a work of art, a real Mona de cereal. Really delicious. This looks delicious, but it's not. This because it's had a little filtration, a little help, a little Photoshop. Let me put this in the bowl. We'll put milk on it and then taste it. Ta-da! 2 shots of vodka. Alright, Oreo O's. It looks great. I mean, this is like an ice cream dessert. This is like an ice cream sundae. It's so good. It's really giving me vanilla forward, like the cream in the middle of an Oreo, with bits of chocolate. It's crunchy, it's creamy, it's chocolatey. It really does give me that Oreo dunked in milk experience. Maybe not quite as sweet, but it is pretty sweet. I mean, it's a great cereal. They're holding up pretty good as far as sogginess goes. Kind of like, you know, getting a little bit of milk in your cookie. I'm not really an Oreo dunker. I like having the glass of milk and the Oreo. Overall, I'm really impressed. People say the old version had much more of a chocolate flavor, and I think I understand that and maybe even remember that a little bit. But this is a really nice version of an Oreo cereal, and it's got to be pretty similar to the old one. So it's got some like cookie dust in it. It's not turning like Cocoa Pebbles chocolatey. Tastes like slightly sweeter milk. Definitely the cream flavor is going into the milk. The O's are still pretty good and crunchy, like in the middle of it. I rate this cereal, I rate it, oh yeah, Oreo, yeah. Pretty stinking good. Now, let's come back to the comeback. So what's in the ingredient list of a good comeback? Well, it's going to be subjective, but I'd say most solid comebacks have a combination of the following. The thing was pretty good to begin with. The thing had cultural impact. The thing had a departure, often with an air of surprise or mystery or drama. There's a period of absence that makes way for nostalgia, and then the thing makes a return. Often it's back bigger and better than ever with many of its old elements. Sometimes it's combined with a twist or reinvention, and that makes a good comeback. So we're going to look at some iconic comebacks. Music and its stars are certainly known to harness the power of a comeback. The Spice Girls are cited as so many people's musical and fashion inspirations. They've had some serious cultural staying power, and they had a large reunion tour in 2007 as well as a less posh tour in 2019. After the infamous glitter bombing, Mariah Carey came back hot with the emancipation of Mimi in 2005. She had her first #1 since 1997's Butterfly and successfully rebooted into a new generation. You go, Mimi. Cher is the queen of reinvention. She's had a 60s duo career, a 70s solo and television rise, big screen success in the 80s, and an epic pop return in the 90s. She often had flop eras in between, but came back bigger and better each time, a total embodiment of the comeback. Often when Britney Spears comes back, it's very exciting or dramatic, but then a darker side of the corporate comeback is exposed. It's been an interesting time for us to reflect on all aspects of fame and fortune, and that it's not always healthy for everyone involved. It's good to see Britney's current comeback seems to be on her own terms. Now, these are some of the biggest names of all time, and the Phoenix-like rebirth is definitely a vital part of their personas. Now let's dive into corporate America. We have a special place in our hearts for our favorite companies, but they too can fall in and out of the public's eyes. Apple Computers has had several rises and falls. In the 80s, becoming the top computer company, declining to Microsoft in the 90s, regaining relevancy with the iPod, and then introducing the iPhone to massive success. It's interesting to see that some of the biggest companies of all time have had a period of death and rebirth that brought it some serious staying power. The details differ, but the main plot is found in all of these companies, showing the value in failure, iteration, and reinvention. Now let's take this a step higher. It's tough to find a major religion without a comeback story. The oldest known resurrection story is of the Sumerian goddess Inanna. She took a little trip to see her sister in the underworld. She gives away all her gifts, but she's sentenced to death, and 3 days later, she's revived with the food and water of life. We also have the Egyptian god Osiris that was killed by 72 conspirators. He gets revived by Isis for his seed. He is then embalmed and buried, but lives on as the god of the underworld. These stories help represent some of nature's comebacks, like the Nile River approaching and retreating, as well as seed being sown and harvested. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are the predominant world religions with cornerstones of resurrection and second comings. Millions around the world find hope, comfort, and joy in the concepts of transformation, second chances, and returning kings. It's just the most satisfying thing when the dawn breaks, the hero returns, and the unbearable evil is conquered. These concepts help us cope with the evil in the world and help us remember that the hard times are broken up with beautiful chapters in life. Well, that was just so delicious and thought-provoking. So, what are some of your favorite comebacks? And is there anything you'd like to see make a comeback? I would like to come back with another video, so if you've enjoyed this, I'd love to take on another cereal and topic. I will see you next time. Oreos, amigos.